Hi, I'm Roger Monder, your host for Breaking Ground. In recent years, agriculture in this province has taken many progressive steps to explore and expand on opportunities that are around us. Research is playing an important role in that development. On this week's show, we're going to delve into the horticultural side of agriculture. The infamous chinch bug has often been the plague to many lawns in eastern Canada. Research leader Nancy Hudson and her assistant Susan Morgan are involved in finding practical ways of ridding lawns of this destructive insect. What makes their work noteworthy is that they're using a non-chemical approach to solve the problem. Still in a research vein, Samir Debnath of the Atlantic Cool Climate Crop Research Center in Mount Pearl is investigating the adaptability of medium and high bush blueberry plants for Newfoundland. These plants, mostly from the state of Maine, are very prolific and lend themselves to easy harvesting. And Chef Kitty Drake is back in Ann Budgell's kitchen preparing another tasty dessert. There is no end to Kitty's creative and unique approach to making a dessert to remember. She never fails to surprise. Sounds like an interesting show to me. Why not hang around and find out what's going on in modern provincial agriculture? This upcoming piece on chinch bug research is well worth watching. This research is not only being watched by local gardening companies, but also by research departments all across eastern Canada.
In the gardening series Homegrown, Dr. Peggy Dixon talked about the effects that the chinch bug can have on your lawn.
The way you can tell if you have chinch bugs, they do, if there's a lot of them in a patch in a lawn, they will actually kill the grass, and you'll see a dead brown patch in the lawn.
There are various chemical ways of dealing with the chinch bug, but nowadays there's a strong movement away from the use of pesticides, for obvious reasons. A few years ago, Don Barry of Service Master, a lawn care company, was traveling with a friend. They wondered if there wasn't a non-chemical way of ridding a lawn of the troublesome chinch bug.
A few years back, Brenda and I were traveling, and we got this idea that we knew that coming down the pipe, we're going to lose some of the products we had to control the bug, and we knew that they weren't going to be replaced. So we had this idea of, well, why don't we try something entirely different and look for a non-chemical way to control the insect? So we came up with this idea of trying a vacuum system. So that was kind of the epiphany or the genesis of it, and then we went on holiday, we came back, and we said, okay, let's see if we can make this happen. It was about a year to a year and a half of background work where we set up a group of like-minded people, and we put proposals together, and at the end of the day, after a lot of work went into the plan, we did get approval and funding to start it, so it's just a really great thing because it happened all by that initial thought, and then working together with people with a similar interest over a long period of time as well, and it came together, so it's really great.
One of these like-minded people was Nancy Hudson. As it turned out, she was more than a researcher. She also ended up taking responsibility for many other aspects of the process.
Well, it was really great to find Nancy, to have her available to us, because without someone to really drive that part of the research, to take ownership of the research, it wouldn't have went anywhere. So finding that was probably one of the biggest successes in finding the right person to lead the research, which we have.
So the research began. What's out there now? Does it serve our purposes? Is there a vacuum out there that can be adapted?
Well, we had to start with a literature search just to see, are there any vacuums currently in production that maybe just have been overlooked? So we did some pretty extensive research. We found that there was a lot of vacuums being used on lawns, but not being used for insect control. They've been used predominantly for debris removal, such as leaves and garbage and things. Vacuuming insects in agriculture has been done in the past and then sort of fell by the wayside because of the heaviness of the equipment and maybe more of the selectivity of the crops and the insects that they were targeting. But we have newer technologies now. We've got lighter equipment, and we have, I think the concept is good, and we might be able to actually put something to work there. Well, we started out with a backpack unit. It was developed by the U.S. Health Service to collect mosquitoes and other flying insects. So we started out with that because it's relatively small, and we modified it so that we could actually use it on the ground surface. And just to test the concept, would vacuuming pick up chinch bugs? And we did prove that, and we found that in the samples that we collected, we were finding all stages. So we have eggs, all of the nymphs right through to the adults, which was really good to see because with spraying, you have to target a specific stage, which means that your treatment window is very limited. So the idea of vacuuming is not only can we pick up all stages, but we can, perhaps broaden the window of treatment opportunity. Occasionally we pick up other insects. There's a lot of other insects that are on the lawn that may not be doing any damage. There's what we call predators. The big-eyed bug, for instance, is a fairly common predator here that can feed on chinch bugs and other insects. We have picked up a few of those, but we're finding that because they're so mobile, we end up missing more than what we're picking up. But the chinch bugs are coming up in large numbers, so that's our target insect. Well, Susan's actually sorting through the debris from the vacuum, and what we're trying to do is pull out the chinch bugs from the debris, and then that way we can sort them into their life stages and do their counts. What we're also doing with the debris is we're maintaining that so that we can get measurements and weights and things so that we can do more calculations in terms of perhaps trying to reduce the amount of debris being picked up and still maintain a good collection of chinch bugs.
This project is moving along in a very orderly fashion, but there's always that bottom line. Let's get a machine out there that's both practical and economical.
We push the group all the time, Nancy group all the time. We want to, let's get out there, let's get at it, let's do it. And of course, the old adage, penny wise, pound foolish. We want to make sure that when we do get out there, that we have something that works and will be effective. And we can't really get to that stage unless all the research in the background and the testing and all that sort of thing is done. So research never works as fast as industry wants it. We think of the idea today, we want it done tomorrow. And that's just the nature of how we operate because we're consumer driven. The customer, our customer demands a solution to a problem. And what we're trying to do now is develop a new solution to an existing problem. And that's just going to have to take time. But we've moved to the standpoint now that we have a product, I think, that we can put out there and start field trialing. And that's really what's making us excited right now.
Although private industry is playing a large part, so is government. What makes this project so different is that funding is not only coming from Newfoundland and Labrador, but also from government sources in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Ottawa. A point that highlights the importance of this research being done in Newfoundland and Labrador.
It's nice to see private industry and government support coming together to make things better. When we come back after this short break, we're going to have a close look at some blueberry research that's going on in Mount Pearl. The positive effects of blueberries are well known, but here's a research story that is sure to open our eyes to new possibilities.
Because the fishery in Newfoundland has such a high profile, many times agriculture in this province has been ignored, or at best given a polite nod. But times have changed, and one could say that agriculture is enjoying a lot more attention than it did in the past. In all segments of provincial agriculture, there's a sense of expansion and potential. The berry industry is a good case in point. A decade ago, the cranberry industry was non-existent. Now, it enjoys a vibrant expansion and a bright future. Strawberry U-picks are everywhere now and have branched out and incorporated raspberry, blackberry, and many other types of berries that may have a high commercial value. In many respects, the lower bush blueberry has enjoyed a special place in the hearts of Newfoundlanders, much the same as bake apples have done for Labradorians. Dr. Samir Debnath is a research scientist at the Atlantic Cool Climate Crop Research Center in Mount Pearl. His expertise is berries in general. He sings their praises because of the high antioxidant activity, which has proven to be a cancer deterrent.
Actually, we are doing here small fruits and medicinal plants important to this area. We are working with that, especially our wild berries, blueberries, cranberry, paddisberry, bakeapple. In English name, bakeapple is cloudberry. We started our work initially with these 4 berries, and now also we are working with other berries, say strawberry, raspberry, medicinal plant, rose root. We are working all these areas, and they are all very healthy berries. And as you know, our paddisberry is very high antioxidant activity they have, and they prevent cancer. So we are interested to work in these areas, and we have been doing for last 8-9 years.
Dr. Debnath's research is now zeroing in on whether or not the medium-high blueberry bush brought in from the U.S. would do well in Newfoundland. They're cold-resistant, have very high yields, and to date have proven to do well here in this province.
In Newfoundland and in Canada, mostly low bush blueberries are grown. High bush blueberry, they are taller, generally 2 to 3 meter high. But low bush blueberries, they are shorter, say maybe 1 feet high, something like that. So half high blueberry, this is the hybrid between low bush blueberries and high bush blueberries. We are now interested for half high blueberries there because their production is very high. And these half high blueberries, what we are planning to grow here, they are resistant to cold. That's the main advantage. They are grown in Maine, and we are hopeful that they will also be grown here. And we saw in last 4 or 5 years, we saw they are growing well outside our greenhouse. So it will be a new valuable crop for Newfoundland.
Next year will be an important year for Dr. Debnath. It'll be when he takes his research and puts it to the test outside the labs and greenhouses of the research center and into a commercial farm setting.
This year we are planning to plant some plants in the farm itself, and from next year or so we are looking for partners. So as soon as we get the partners and some financial assistance, then we will start experiment in farmers field.
The many years of research and hard work by Dr. Debnath and his staff will hopefully prove to be another successful chapter in the work being done at the Atlantic Cool Climate Crop Research Center in Mount Pearl.
Let's hope we see medium and high bush blueberry plants in our farms in the near future. Off again for another break. We'll be back shortly. Now we're at the fun part of the show. Chef Kitty Drake is going to prepare another original dessert in Ann Budgell's kitchen. Here goes.
We are looking at the most gorgeous chocolate cake. And I think you might be very surprised to find out that one of the major ingredients in this cake is good old Newfoundland and Labrador beets. My friend Kitty Drake is here with me this afternoon. I'm Ann Budgell, by the way, and Kitty is going to tell us all about the underappreciated Newfoundland beet and things that we can do with it. But Kitty, a cake?
Yes, a chocolate mint cake. And it is really rich, chocolatey, and delicious.
Okay.
You're going to actually make that today, Ann.
I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to tasting the cake, too, the finished product.
Okay.
But tell us about some of the other beet dishes that are surrounding the cake right now.
Okay, well, the one that everybody is very familiar with in Newfoundland is pickled beets. It seems to get served with everything.
It does. And they're good, too.
Oh, they are good, but there's so many other things you can do with beets. For instance, I have here Harvard beets. And that's served hot. It's just boiled beets, chop them up however you would like, and then make a quick sauce with cornstarch and vinegar and a little bit of water, and it's really nice.
So it's really just another variation on pickled beets, Kitty.
Well, yes, it is. It is a little bit. There is that vinegary flavor, no doubt about it. And the other one that I have is a chilled borscht. Borscht is served hot. It's a beef broth chunky soup with beets. This one is pureed beets, beef broth, a bit of lemon juice, some cumin, and you puree everything, and when you're ready to serve it chilled, you just take some sour cream and drizzle a bit around on the top.
Make it pretty.
I'm not doing a very good job with making it pretty. It should be pretty. Anyway, it's good even if it's not pretty.
Now the soup, you didn't simmer this for hours and hours. You're using
no.
stock
Yes, well,
from the
I
grocery
guess
store?
if you want, or you
Yeah.
can make your own beef
Yeah.
stock. Or if you're a vegetarian, of course, you could use vegetarian stock from the store.
So cook the beets, puree them, combine them with stock and flavorings. And what flavorings do you suggest?
Well, I like a little cumin with beets and lemon juice, and then the sour cream. And again, the beets, because they're sweet, do really nicely with something a bit sharp like vinegar.
And it can be served hot or cold?
You could serve that hot. I usually serve it cold.
Okay. Now the main point of our exercise here today, though, is for me to learn how to make this fabulous looking cake.
It's very simple to make cake.
And I want you to tell me why beets in a cake. What's the purpose of the beets? What role do they play in this mixture?
Well, like applesauce, they add a texture and they add nutrients. You know, they're good for you, lots of vitamins and minerals. And also, the color of the beets makes the chocolate become very intense and dark. It's absolutely marvelous color when we cut into it. You'll see that.
Okay, well, let's go through the ingredients. Obviously here, a couple of eggs.
Yes, a cup and a half of sugar, a cup and a half of pureed beets, 2/3 cup of vegetable oil, and here we have a cup and a third of flour, 6 tablespoons of cocoa, a bit of salt, and a teaspoon and a half of baking soda.
Only 6 tablespoons of cocoa, and then not much flour.
No, not much flour, and I mean, primarily it's beets. And then we have for flavoring a teaspoon of vanilla and 3/4 of a teaspoon of peppermint extract.
And Kitty's got everything measured out already for me,
Yes,
which is
everything's
good.
measured out, but you have to use.
I'm going to start dumping, okay?
Start dumping. 2
Brought
eggs
me
first.
the lovely mixer.
Yes.
2 eggs.
A cup and a half of sugar, and just put the bowl up there, Ann. I'll take this out of your way.
Okay, and get her going.
Yep, get her going until it's just mixed up. You can take it up a little higher if you'd like. The speed, I mean. Ann's not used to these KitchenAids, I can tell that.
Oh, I'm not.
No, they're wonderful.
I've got to get one.
Okay, then turn it down to 1 and pour in your oil.
All right. 2/3 of a cup of oil.
Right, vegetable oil, any kind. And then pour in your 1.5 cups of pureed beets.
Don't get this on the white tablecloth.
The thing is, when you're ever cooking up beets, just cook up more because you can puree them and use them for beef soup, or you can use them as a hot pureed beef with your dinner, or you can make cake. Okay?
I'm going to shut that off for 1 second. Don't mind the mess.
No, don't mind the mess.
All right, now dumping
Stir
in.
that in, the flour and cocoa.
All at-
mixture.
is it okay
all
to
at
throw
once?
all in?
All at once. If you want, lower it. That makes it easier.
Thank you. This is why you have a professional chef.
And then put her up again, Ann.
All right.
That way. Don't do it that way. Put her up again. That's it. Yeah, and everything goes everywhere. And dump in your, right? Now you might want to just turn that off again, lower it, and scrape down the sides.
Okay.
Okay.
Sides need to be scraped. We want all the ingredients to be incorporated here.
Absolutely. And this is the really hard part now that's coming up. And that is that you're going to turn that mixer on for 2 minutes and just let it
Okay.
beat it up until it's smooth.
Or driver.
Whoop. Oh my. Okay, go on, go for it. Wow, perfect.
Do your thing.
Okay, and that just beats for 2 minutes. And
Kitty, I think this is ready.
that's ready. Okay, then you have your prepared pan, just a well-greased bundt pan.
Now, show me how to get this thing
yes,
off.
Okay, well, we lift this off first, Ann, and then we just unhitch that there. And
It's not high tech.
here we go.
And you've already prepared the pan.
Yep.
She brushed it with butter.
Yes, so now we just pour that in. It's not a thick batter. It'll just spread out all on its own.
It's a beautiful color.
Oh, yes, well.
It's like ox blood.
It won't look quite like that when it bakes. Somehow there's something happens when it bakes and it just looks rich and chocolatey.
Yum.
But it does look beautiful. I must
It's
say
a
those
gorgeous
beets were
one.
beautifully red.
Yeah.
And then you're going to put that in a preheated 350-degree oven for 30 to
Okay.
40 minutes.
Now, we have to cut the cake.
Okay, here we go. This is a nice, even textured, very rich cake.
Oh, looking good.
There you go, Anne. See how moist it is?
Totally moist. Mm-hmm. Taste tells. Lovely.
Yes.
Really moist and really good.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and really easy.
Thanks, Kitty.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much. That's
It was
Kitty
fun.
Drake, all about the unappreciated beet.
No wonder Kitty is so well known right across Canada. On next week's show, we're going to talk about secondary processing. For years, industrial milk was being shipped out of the province to make other products elsewhere. Fresh local creamery butter under the brand name Spyglass is but a part of the movement to keep the milk here and have it turned into a milk-related product. The same goes for Moo Moo's ice cream. Once a small basement operation, this high-quality ice cream is in great demand right across the province. It has expanded noticeably in recent years, and for good reason. It simply tastes great. Chef Brian Abbott is back in Ann Budgell's kitchen again next week. There's a good reason Brian wins all those cooking awards. Come back next week and see what he has to offer. Well, there you are. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I certainly hope to see you here next week.